These 5 units have the potential to go from fodder to godder. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We are discussing the top 5 units who have the ability to go from fodder upon release to godder upon EZA. That's a word, right? Well, it is for the purposes of this video. So let's go ahead and let's dive on in. So we have a bunch of EZAs here that we're going to take a look at through Masaka's post, but we're going to focus on 5 particularly, right? These 5 units are units that during their release time were not the greatest, right? Or at least subpar, right? Maybe usable, but in a very niche sense. And I want to focus on these units specifically precisely because of the way Dokkan has been handling EZAs as of late. Almost every EZA since the 11th anniversary has been knocked out of the park. Even units that were once considered barely usable are now considered top tier. Think units like Dokkan Festival Raditz or the Int ROF Blues, units who were mid-tier at best and the worst unit released at worst upon release, and yet now they can be considered some of the top TURs in Dokkan, and that gives me an idea about the units that need to get the same treatment. So let's start with our first fodder to godder unit. You probably already seen him on the thumbnail, but it is none other than the LR Int Triku. This character is defined by just a terrible release time, releasing alongside the Dokkan Fest Fizz Turles in an era where AoEs were prevalent, as well being the 3rd base Goku in the span of 6 months that we got. This guy was met with a lot of criticism. He barely had enough to hold up defensively in some of the hardest content at the time, which would have been Sen Shinron, and about a month later, Omega Shinron, and 2 months later with the Merge Zamos and the Dismal Future fights, right? So defensively, he really struggled. Offensively, he was a monster, one of the strongest offensive characters that we had seen around that time. It was just hard to achieve because most of it was locked behind facing multiple enemies, which we didn't really have that much of. So the best way they can fix him is lean into what he was doing well, maybe not limit it so much to the multiple enemies because we don't have too many fights like that, but lean into that offense, give him a powerful active skill, give him the ability to build up for that powerful active skill, and then just give him that guard and that defense, right? This character with such a basic kit, I mean, it really is a basic kit, has the potential to become one of, if not the best LR EZA, if they handle it correctly. And judging by how they handled Raditz, I have good faith that this could be one of the best EZAs. So let's move on to the next one. Coming in at number 4 for our fodder to godder rather units is the Rivals Acting in Concert Int LR Piccolo. Well, we have already seen how they chose to handle the LR Fizz, Goku, and Piccolo. They did quite well, and the Fizz, Goku, and Piccolo were very good, but also in a very similar situation to this character here. Releasing without many partners to be utilized, and on a team that didn't really want and or could use them, right? These guys released alongside the AGL Gohan, and weren't even on his team, as they weren't on the Heavenly Events team, nor on Monomask nor Disciple. However, right, they are on some of the most common teams now, right? Movie Heroes, Earthbred Fighters, since then, Earth Protecting Heroes, is very easy to get them to work on any given team. And since they share several of these teams with the Fizz LR Piccolo, they have the potential to do a lot. Make them work opposite the LR Goku Piccolo, right? Where these guys could focus more on defense while the LR Goku and Piccolo focus on offense, which is typically how they work. And you can make these guys work really, really well. They were pretty defensive upon release, so again, they could really play into that. They're also one of the few characters that has the costume change mechanic. Not many characters do have that ability, so I mean, it doesn't really change much about them. It's just kind of cool that they have it, and then once they have, so it'll just be nice that they make it, one, easier to activate, and two, just making them an enjoyable unit. So they have the potential to be a great EZA. Our next unit on our Godder to Fodder is the STR-17, coming in at number 3 here. This character had probably the worst release, aside from Raditz himself, releasing on a team that could not, with a team that really couldn't be built. They essentially had to rely on the GT duo to function, to save them in a lot of situations until you could get 17 out with that revive. By the point that they came out, right, the Wicked Bloodline characters were just starting to phase out because of Sen's AoE, right? A lot of them, got most of their defense post super, and they really wanted to be on a full extreme team, which was just very difficult for them to manage. In a situation like today, where androids and extreme androids are in a really good place, they could easily slot right in onto some of the major android setups and work really, really well, right? 17 himself is actually pretty good, right? I got him to, on 16's lead, I got him to tank really well, against, Bio Broly, as well as other bosses of the time, the baby, right? I got him to live some of those attacks, which is pretty impressive, and it tells you a lot about how good 17 actually was. The problem was managing this. So really what they need to do for this character, in order to make him, a Godder unit, is to give him the ability to raise both attack and defense. Also having a little bit of damage reduction build up per attack. Since they do launch multiple attacks, that can really help them out. It would still make them a slot 2 unit, but it's not like their team doesn't have many viable slot 1 options. This would be an easy way to fix it, right? Allowing 17 to have more guard and damage reduction in slot 1, allowing him to, be that good slot 1 tank, would also help this character out a lot. I would even go as far to say as if they give him the same effect that the superhero characters have, where he gets more powerful when he takes a super. I think that could be a really niche way to kind of extend the usability of the 17 character. So he's another character that could potentially go from fodder to Godder if handled well. Which brings us to our number 2 character from fodder to Godder. This character, the Int 17 and 18 from the Tournament of Power, have probably the best possible setup they could if they were to EZA sometime this year, with access to Tournament of Power characters like, let's just open this up real quick, right? With access to Tournament of Power characters like the Fizz, the Blue Evolution Vegeta, the Tech UI, the Fizz UI. These are all still very usable characters in several different setups, with AGL UI still being quite usable. They could easily find a team with the Gokus they need to activate their unit super. In fact, it wasn't just the unit super that held them back. It was also the fact that they needed that Goku in the team for their scouter effect and their additional attack. Right? Make it so that they don't need the Goku, or if they're gonna need the Goku, also give them some defensive bonuses, like some damage reduction and some extra defense, and they could easily get up there, right? The ability to change orbs on nearly every turn is hugely helpful for a lot of teams, and so if they could, if they could make them a viable slot 3 unit for that team, they could it could really help the Tournament of Power teams, right? And there isn't a better time to do it than right now, where we have some good Tournament of Power characters ready to go to work for them, especially with Fizz UI Goku being as good as he is. Up their support a little bit, give them a little more damage reduction when attacking, give them a little more support when they have the Goku on the team, right? Like a little, when receiving a super attack, get some extra defense. And I think that could work really well. And this brings us to the final character. With no bias whatsoever, coming in at number 1, the character from Fodder to Godder, character with the highest potential for an EZA is the Tech Super Trunks. Now, I won't lie to you, this is probably one of my favorite cards released to date, but even I recognize what was holding him back. A lot of people still live in the world where he never got buffs post-August 2023. He continued to receive buffs, but right, he was still held back by that high chance to guard and needing 3 or more Android-style sagas. It even holds him back today with some of the challenge runs that we've been doing with him. Now, with that said, the easy way to fix them is to either remove the condition or give him another condition like they've done with other characters like this, right? Like Android Cell Saga or Earthbred Fighters or Vegeta's family, or, again, drop it down to 1 or 2 to make it simple, right? Remove, since he has a passive transformation, remove the ability of needing Cell and drop the attacks down to 3 or 4 attacks, and he can easily achieve this by his second appearance, which would do wonders for him. All they need to do, right, with those Android Cell Saga allies is give him guaranteed guard and a little bit of damage reduction. And he's already going to be kicking teeth in once transformed, because once transformed, he has some of the highest stats pre-EZA for any character. So you EZA him and give him the appropriate stat buffs in these categories, right? Like if he's getting like 200 to 300% like most characters are doing nowadays, he's going to be crapping out damage. I don't know how else to say that, but he has potential to go from maybe one of the most hated releases. I really don't understand how this guy got more hate than Raditz, like for real, guys, but he has the potential to be a really powerful EZA if done well. All they need to do is fix those restrictions, because honestly, right, simply buffing the passive up, giving him a little more damage reduction here in this form, and maybe extending the turn count for his guard, and he's already golden, right? His transformed Super Trunk state was nearly perfect, and then that could be one way to extend it. You want to extend it even further, like some of the other characters we mentioned, give him 3 or 4 turns stacking on his super attack effect in both forms, and then you get to see this guy shoot up even further, which might be a way to get around those high stats that he already has, right? What really makes this guy so valuable is, of course, that that ability to make a Ghost Usher. So if they keep him powerful, make that Ghost Usher easier to access, you're talking about probably one of the best EZAs possible. So there you have it, guys. There is our top 5 Fodder to Godder units. Again, not really sure if that's a word, but I don't care. I had a little bit of fun looking at some of these potential EZAs for the year. So if you guys liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know, what units are you anticipating to release this year? Who could go from Fodder to Godder? Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.